On this?
No, right on
Over
there.
there. Oh, okay. I won't go.
There's none here.
I won't
There's none
go
up there. There you go. Okay.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
We'll take just a few more minutes here before we get started, just in case anybody else is joining us this morning. I think we have about 3 minutes to go before we go live, so we'll hang tight for just a few minutes, folks. All right, good morning, everybody. We were sorry about that. I was getting a couple of emails from folks who were asking for a link to the Zoom meeting this morning. So I think we'll have a couple of other people who will be joining us in just a little bit, but trying to get that out. We are sending those Zoom meeting links out in the COVID-19 updates that we send out 3 times a week. So you guys, obviously you all know where those are and are getting those, but hopefully other folks will too. But good morning. We're glad you guys are here and glad you're joining us this morning for a quick conversation about just what's going on with our programs right now, how you guys are doing, an opportunity for discussion with you and others. I do want to give a couple of updates as we're getting started this morning, just on some things that we're working on. Many of you know that the interim commissioner, Kevin Brown, has created an education continuation task force. They have about 40 members of that team, and I was invited to serve on that team as well. So I'm part of that. And very excited to be participating to represent our programs and our students in that conversation about how we can continue offering services and what that will look like now that things are a little bit different for all of us. So we're really excited about that. We've had lots of really good discussions. We meet each Monday for a 2-hour meeting with the leadership team at KDE. It is an advisory team, an advisory task force. We do not have the ability to make decisions. We don't take votes on different issues, but we certainly provide input and help the department formulate their response to different issues that are happening in education currently. Last week in our conversation, I shared with you that we were discussing graduation requirements, that they were very interested in talking about how we can move students forward and get students graduated in this current year. And so since that time, and we shared this out on Wednesday's COVID-19 update, they have provided some guidance to local school districts requesting that they have discussions at the local district level about graduation requirements. The recommendations that they've provided out talk a lot about moving from whatever your district currently requires for graduation to the state minimum graduation requirements of 22 credit hours. Local boards can make that decision without any additional support or approvals from the Department of Education. And so they sent out that guidance, and I shared those guidance documents with each of you in that update as well, so you know exactly what's going on at the state level and what conversations are taking place. We also mentioned last week that there was discussion about reducing the graduation requirements from the state minimum 22 down to a core content area of 15 credit hours. That would include the 15 hours or the core content areas that are minus the 7 additional credits of electives. The department at this point is not recommending that districts do that, but certainly districts can request a waiver from the State Department of Education and the State Board of Education, should that be an option they are interested in pursuing. I will share with you all that the Kentucky Association of School Administrators did a survey out of school principals and their members across the state, asking which of those options seem most feasible for them and that they would be most interested in. And the largest majority of folks responded with requesting that their districts move to the 22 credits rather than moving to a 15 credit. And I'm largely in agreement with that. I think at this point in the school year, when we have roughly a month and a half left of school, some districts maybe with less than that, I'm not sure that we need to be talking about removing 7 additional electives at this point. If students who were on target to graduate in May or early June were really on target to graduate in May and early June, then those credits would already either be there or be in progress. So that's kind of the discussions that are happening at the state level around that. They will continue to meet and have other discussions around other topics, I'm sure, including how long this recommendation for staying out of school is going to last. Currently, it's till May 1st, I think. And so there is some discussion about what that will look like beyond. There are also many other discussions that are taking place about the 1,062 credit hour or number of seat hours or instructional hours that are required and how districts are able to move to that. several districts ask if they could extend their current school day by 30 minutes or by an hour or whatever to try to get to that 1062 a little bit earlier. The department and Kevin Brown, Commissioner Brown, did note that he did not believe at this time that the State Board of Education or the department would approve any calendar changes like that. So really we are sticking with our current instructional calendars and then move toward that 1062 hours for the school year. And looking at how we can get there most effectively by providing the highest level of service, obviously, that we can to our students. So that's kind of what's going on with the Education Continuation Task Force. Lots of discussion there, lots of good discussion, and I'm making sure that we're also including state agency children, foster care kids, students who are in juvenile justice facilities in that conversation, which is something that, quite frankly, I don't think has happened as much as it should. And so we're doing our part in that as well. I've also shared a couple of things in our updates, and I just want to reiterate those to you, that Senate bill, and one of those is Senate Bill 177, which is the COVID-19 education relief bill that was passed by the General Assembly a couple of weeks ago now and has already been signed by the governor. And in that Senate Bill 177, can you guys hear my lawn guy outside? I'm sorry, I apologize. They're weed eating outside my window at this very minute. Sorry about that. Wait, should I mute for a second? Okay, here we go. Sorry. There we go. The extended day waiver is part of that Senate Bill 177, so I wanted to make sure you guys are aware of that as well. Within that waiver, essentially what the bill says is that any days that have not been completed as of yet by districts could be waived for this school year. I know many of you are, and our recommendation has been that if you can provide those extended days, obviously we would recommend that you continue to do that. But we know that there needs to be some flexibility in that. And so this is the first time in the existence of KECSAC that I'm aware that the General Assembly has taken action to waive any of those extended day requirements. I will share with you that during the discussion of that Senate Bill 177 and looking at what was necessary and what was needed around educational services during this during the pandemic, we did recommend that they include that language. And so we're really excited that they did and that they recognized that we needed that flexibility. So that is where we are. Of course, that has some pretty big implications for our districts. I think a lot of people, especially finance officers, would say, well, if we're not providing those extended days, how does that impact our funding from KECSAC and our requirements for that? It will not impact any funding at the district level from us related to that. So we will continue to honor the contract that we signed in the funding that we're providing to districts, but certainly there is that flexibility there. I also know that several of our districts have included those extended days in your Infinite Campus school calendar, and that you have requested changes to that school calendar at the state level. If you are not offering those days and they were included in the original calendar, you would need to contact the Department of Education and update those school calendars to make sure that they are reflective of the number of days that you're offering in your programs. But again, many of you are continuing to offer those, and we appreciate that. The other implications obviously are for our residential group homes and then also our DJJ facilities, who quite frankly have relied on those extended school days for student supervision, for classroom management, for student management, all of those things that we continue to do. And so there are certainly implications for those agencies about how they will handle students during those times. So just wanted you again to be aware of that Senate Bill 177 and the language that's in there. We have shared that out many times and want to make sure that you are aware of it. The other thing I want to do is invite each of you to participate in a new PLC that we're offering during this time. We recognize that This is kind of a unique situation, but it also provides us with an opportunity to connect you all with folks who are doing good work and give you an opportunity to learn from each other and to work together with each other. And so we have a new PLC that is starting on April 28th. It'll run for 4 weeks on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. You can register for that in the links that we've been sending out in the COVID-19 updates. Many of you already have. It is a PLC that will be hosted by Hassan Davis, who is the former commissioner of the Department of Juvenile Justice and the author of a book entitled Written Off, about his experience in the juvenile justice facility as a youth, and how you can use that in your programs and with your students. So I think it'll be a good learning opportunity to enter into a discussion and a dialogue with him about that. We're just trying to provide some additional opportunities for you and looking at delivering services in a different way than we have in the past. And so we hope that you'll take advantage of that. You're invited to take advantage of that. You'll get a free copy of the book that we'll mail to you prior to the start of that PLC, and then give you an opportunity to talk with that. We really think that this might be a new way for us to be able to engage with folks, not just during this pandemic, but also moving into the future. So if you have ideas for PLCs that you would like to see implemented across the state that we could facilitate, we'd be happy to talk with you about that and to look at how we can partner in providing some different options. I know that many years ago, Alvin Ellsbury up in Northern Kentucky in Campbell County started a similar project, a PLC, where he got together with day treatment programs across the state, and they had meetings where they could talk about things. We're open to being able to host those kinds of opportunities, or partnering and contracting with educational leaders or educational experts in Kentucky or across the country to help facilitate some discussions that are very specific to the needs that you have and that you may identify in your programs. So if you have other ideas, we'd love to hear those as well. And
Yeah,
then
Ronnie, can I jump in on something on that?
Yes, please, Katie, go ahead.
I just want to let everyone know that we did get approved for ELA credit for that PLC. So I can send out PD certificates and ELA certificates after we're done. And spots are limited just because we only have a certain amount of books. So go ahead and get registered if you're interested. Thanks, guys.
Perfect. Thanks, Katie. Yes, absolutely. Please register. We do have limited spots, but we do still have spots available. So we'd love for you to sign up and participate in that. The other thing, just on our website, if you haven't been to our website lately, we'd love to invite you to go and take a look. We have a COVID-19 resource page that's available, an instructional website that has a large variety of instructional strategies, instructional resources, online technology assistance, lots of different things that can help you during this time of providing non-traditional instructional time with your students. Angie Austin and Peggy Shearer did a great job of pulling those resources together, and those are all on our website. And currently we're in the process of organizing those by high school, middle school, elementary, so you'll be able to more efficiently find what you need on those websites. Katie's working on that now. But if you have any questions about any of that, we've just been trying to put together as many resources as we can so that you all have at your fingertips whatever you might need to continue offering services. So we hope that you guys will do that and look at those if you have any questions. And then the last thing that I'll talk about before we open it up to some other discussion, I just want to get back on your radar that we hope that this is going to wrap up pretty soon. I think we're all optimistic, cautiously optimistic that things will get back to whatever normal we think normal will be now. But we are still moving forward with our Alternative Education Summit in July. We currently have that on our calendars for July 21st and 22nd at the Embassy Suites in Lexington. We hope that you'll add that to your calendar. And we hope that we'll be able to get back together and see you guys in July at the very latest. We do have some other PD that we're working on in June. We currently have on June 8th with GREC, the Green River Area Educational Co-op, a PD that we're working with them on right now, and then hopefully we'll have that out to you and we'll be able to be back together in June. I think that might be a little bit optimistic at this point, but but we're continuing with our planning, and we hope that you'll be able to participate in those events as well. So just keep your eyes open for us sending out some additional information to you about some PD opportunities in addition to the PLC that we're doing online. And then I see over in our comments that David Gideon, I'm not sure if David's on here. I haven't seen him yet this morning, but David, I think it's Dave's birthday today. And so happy birthday to you. We hope you're enjoying your 29th and having a good time today. So thank you for being with us if you're out there, and everybody wish him a happy birthday. All right, so we thought this morning that one of the things that we've been giving kind of updates and sending out information as much as we can, but we want to have an opportunity for you all to discuss not just things that are going well in your programs, but we wanted to particularly talk about today things that you might be struggling with, things that maybe you need some assistance, or that things that are not going really great, and that other people might have been able to address in their programs. So I'll start with, we received several emails about this, and so I wanted to share some of those and then open the floor for comments either in the chat or discussion with you about how you're handling these things in your programs or what you're doing to address it. And we'd love for you guys to chime in on this. But several people talked with me about technology access, that many students in their programs or in their districts have access to technology that they're using at home, and they're delivering their NTI in the district through technology directed instruction. And yet some of our programs are experiencing some difficulty in accessing that technology or being able to use the technology that are even in the residential facilities that they have. If anyone else is experiencing something like that, or if you can share with us how you're delivering your NTI instruction to address these kind of technology access issues, we'd love to hear that if you guys are experiencing that as well.
I guess I'll go first then.
Please do. Thank you.
I'm fortunate in here in Jefferson County that not only has Jefferson County rolled out a program where they got 25,000 Chromebooks, maybe even more at this point, into students' homes, but our kids in particular did qualify for that program because every single student at our school is on the free and reduced lunch. So most of our students accepted a Chromebook from the district, and those that didn't, such as the ones that are at Westport Group Home, they got laptops that were taken out of our facility before our facility got fully locked down. I actually sent Mr. Barden an email about that just a little bit ago. We have part of our building is juvenile detention now. And there has been at least one case confirmed in the facility, from what I hear, of COVID-19. So they've completely locked the building down from anybody going in, even just for like making copies in the teacher's lounge. So with that said, I have been talking with the other teachers at Louisville Day. They have gotten me, the district has gotten me into Google Classroom for purposes of NTI, and presumably I'll be able to keep that access going forward, which means that not only am I going to be able to access and distribute more online resources for my students during this COVID-19, during this whole pandemic, but even going forward, I'll still be able to have access to those. And as a technology teacher, being able to distribute my information electronically, distribute my lectures, lessons, assignments, things like that electronically is extremely important, because you can't learn how to work with computers without a computer, obviously. I have been able to transition my digital literacy class to using a website called CodeCombat, where they are getting an introduction to learning how to program this week. And I've got them assigned a few modules from that, and they're due on Wednesday of next week at this point. In addition to that, my hardware and software students are starting this week out by learning about cybersecurity. That includes social engineering, some basics about encryption and things like that. Once I get feedback from the students on that, I will set up future lesson plans and go from there. My biggest concern up to this point had been my copper students. I have only one student in that program right now, and that's for the CTEC program. I was able to, using some of my cohorts, including David, Angie Dean, and a couple of others that helped me out, I was able to get the full copper textbook and was able to upload that to Google Classroom for that student. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do any of the hands-on stuff until and unless we can reconvene, but he can at least get the book material, and then we can probably get through the hands-on stuff within 2 or 3 days.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. I know that several weeks ago when we were having this conversation, I think 2 weeks ago at this point, you expressed a concern about technology access and access to laptops and for your students and others. So I'm glad to hear that that's been rectified in your situation and that the district has provided your students with the necessary technology that they need to continue moving forward. I'm really excited about that. So congratulations on that first victory and all the other work that you're doing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was really excited when I heard that our kids were getting Chromebooks.
Good. Other folks who are dealing with technology access, particularly if there's any of the residential group homes or any other DJJ facilities that where they're residential, if you're dealing with any access issues or how you guys are addressing that in your programs with delivering NTI instruction. Jim, I see you unmuted yourself. Are you getting ready to jump in?
Well, I hit the wrong button, to be honest with you, but
Too late now. Too late.
Too late.
Jump in.
we went, they made all the teachers leave campus last week. So we started out going to 11:45 from 7 to 11:45. And since all our kids are on regular computers anyway, it wasn't a big deal. Our youth workers are just taking them to class. So we went Monday and Tuesday from 7 to 11:45, and we just reset everything remotely. And of course, with Odyssey Where you can communicate with your students. So we did that, and then the students decided that they wanted to go all day. So we were actually going to the same schedule we always been from 7 to 1:45. So we had a bunch of kids who were trying to graduate. So they needed more time in class. So we're going from 7 to 1:45 down there. And the good thing about Odyssey Where is, you know, it is what it is, but you can communicate with kids remotely. So they've been making us do the sheet at central office where you're logging in your stuff, and we've just been sending in all of our communication to central office, and they're like, wow, y'all are doing a lot of communication. But that is the one bright thing in it. We can, our youth workers are doing an excellent job. In fact, we were tracking it today, and just to see who made incentives for tomorrow. And they've done more week this week than they did the week before spring break. I think they got bored and sitting down there and finally decided, well, we got to do something. So, but yeah, it's working out fine for us. It's more of a problem for me because I'm having to send transcripts to counselors and stuff like that. But they're in the classroom all day, and seems like everything's doing pretty good. I mean, we're still progressing at even as good a rate, or maybe even a better rate than we did before spring break. So not a real problem. Now, you know, there's some things our teachers try to do hands-on every week that we just can't do anymore. I mean, you know, like we try to do something in science, you know, some kind of a running project in class ever so often, every week or every 2 weeks or something like that. You can't do that. I mean, that's the problem. And then, of course, our vocational program, we're trying to get the packets and they're more NTI-like, I guess. We're trying to get those up and getting those ready for next week. We didn't get them this week because we've actually changed our schedules 3 times this week. So everything's going good as far as we can tell right now. I mean, our superintendent
Thank you.
was very happy with everything. So
Good. Great to hear. I'll just, over in the chat section of this, if you're reading comments, Valerie, who's at, I think this is Valerie up at the Moorhead. No last name on here, but I'm sure that's you. They have class still every day for most of the day, and students are able to access Edgenuity. Teachers communicate with them through the program's email. Amanda Henry was able to get them the Google Hangout set up for access for students and do video chat with them. So they're continuing to do that. I think, obviously, I don't know if you guys follow David Couch, but David Couch is the technology person at the Department of Education. If you all know him, he's been there for probably 30 years. But he just this week in discussions talked about that he's been on many conference calls with other technology coordinators across the state level technology coordinators across the country. And that Kentucky is actually very well poised during this time, more so than almost any other state, in being able to continue to deliver instruction because we have such a robust technology system in our schools across the state. And especially in our programs, where almost all of our programs have some digital learning that was already happening, where we have had folks who were already doing those things and can still access that remotely. So we are very excited that those things were already in place for many of our programs and that you're able to continue doing that. Does anyone else have anything that you'd want to add around technology access or struggles with technology delivery and instruction for your students? Okay. If you do, you can put those over in the chat as well and type those. If you don't feel comfortable jumping in and talking with everybody, that's okay. I do want to talk about one other thing or a couple of other things that folks had communicated to us as struggles that they're working on or that they're dealing with. And I'm interested in hearing back from some of you others about how you're responding. And that is obviously throughout this entire pandemic, through all of the NTI instruction and the distance learning that's happening, students continue to come in and out of the foster care system in the state. Students continue to come in and out of the juvenile justice facility in the system there. Students continue to move between those programs from a more restrictive environment to a less restrictive environment based on the student's needs. And so those transitions are still happening and happening pretty frequently, I think, for some of our programs. And so some of the questions or concerns were about student enrollment when they go into a new program, or how you guys are handling when a student comes into your facility during this time or when they come into your program. How are you getting them on target? How are you moving them forward? How are you continuing to do those kinds of things? And so if some folks can talk about their experience with that and maybe help out some of those who are struggling with those issues, we'd appreciate it.
Well, I'll go ahead and chime in here. Our instructional aide, who is also our Infinite Campus expert in our building, she's working remotely from home as well. So I have someone up in administration for DJJ who sends me a housing report every day. So I know who's come in and who's left, and I can just forward that to her, and she takes care of getting kids enrolled and requesting those records. And, you know, surprisingly, we're getting records even in the midst of all this craziness, you know, pretty quickly. So, you know, on a good day, a lucky day, that kid's got a schedule in Infinite Campus, and that tells us exactly, you know, what he was taking at his previous school. Sometimes if that's not the case, I have to get on the phone with one of my DJJ staff and say, you know, go talk to this kid, ask him these questions. And, you know, I can't say again how great they have been throughout all of this. You know, they're still in the building, they're still on site. We are at this point still allowed to come in and you know, make copies or do whatever we need to do, but the district has strongly encouraged teachers to stay away. So we've really relied heavily on them throughout all of this, and it's just everything is done electronically.
Perfect. Thanks, Lucinda. I think that's a testament also to, I know Shannon Jett is on here from DJJ. It's a testament to the strong work efforts that DJJ side of the house has really put into those programs where students are in those residential facilities and they're still feet on the ground every day. So we appreciate their support always, and the support of our private child care agencies where students are in residential treatment centers and group homes across the state who are also doing that same level of work and making sure that their students are getting access that they need. So we appreciate all of them. Shannon, I think, are you jumping in?
Yeah, I was going to say, I tried to reach out yesterday to all of our DJJ schools, not necessarily the day treatments, but the rest of you who have residential students. And it seemed like everyone that returned my emails was getting cooperation from people within the facility, especially to get students enrolled in things. If there is ever a glitch, please let me know and I'll jump in and we'll get it taken care of right away, because we do want students enrolled as quickly as possible. And I appreciate what all of you are doing, all of your creativity, all the things that are happening. You're all doing great. And I thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. I think we do have a question that you might be able to answer, or at least do a little research on. And that is about any students who have qualified for early release on the DJJ side of the house who are Class C or Class D offenders. I know the governor has been working on a early release plan. I know it's specifically targeted toward adult offenders, but if there's anything related to juvenile offenders in there that you might be able to share with us.
I don't know about the specific law, but I know we have released a great number of students in the last few weeks. Dina's on here too. Maybe she wants to jump in on this. One of our goals in the next few days and week or so, we're going to try to follow up with all of those students who've been released that are nearing graduation, maybe are potentially low on credits. We're going to try to follow up and make sure that they've gotten enrolled in their new district so that they're not falling through the cracks. So I may be reaching out to a lot of you to ask questions about what you might know about where a student is. I don't have infinite campus access, so some of my information is limited and I may depend on you to get that. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I think it does, and that there is work happening on that side of the house about juvenile offenders as well, and so there may be some additional information we can get from that.
Yes. Yes. I have never seen our numbers this low. I've been with the department almost 15 years and I have never ever seen our numbers this low. And I know it's because kids are being released to go home. So
let me just say what great timing it was that our child count happened back in early March, before releases started happening. I know probably many of the programs that rely on that funding are very grateful for that. All right, any other comments about how you're doing transitioning students in or transitioning out? Is that seems to be going well? As I've heard some other folks who have emailed me that they've had some concern about frequent moves, so maybe that's not something that folks on here are experiencing, but okay. Perfect. And then the one other thing that someone brought up is about teacher fatigue and kind of staffing fatigue. Teacher fatigue, obviously transitioning everything that you're doing into a distance learning opportunity for students and what that looks like. I mean, having to really change up the delivery of instruction for you and the amount of work that that's taking for a lot of our teachers. Certainly that's on one side of the house. And then on the other, particularly for our residential programs where we have staff who are in residential group homes or who are in DJJ facilities that are suddenly taking on a completely different role than they had initially signed up for maybe or were expecting. certainly we're not expecting, I think, and how that is kind of working on their fatigue. If you guys have with your staff as administrators and as teachers, if there are things that are going on with your staff to encourage them and to address any fatigue, if you guys can share if there's anything you guys are doing on that front. And if you're not doing anything, I just encourage you to think about how you can address that and how you can have those conversations with your teaching staff and with your colleagues about how to kind of relieve some of that fatigue and stress that's happening during this time. But if anybody's doing anything really great, we'd love to hear from you all. As you guys are thinking about that, just a couple of comments over on the side that I just want to draw your attention to. Warren County, we have Anthony who's said that most court dates have been postponed there. We've seen that across the state. There's very few court dates that are happening. Most of those have been suspended or postponed for now. So I think it's definitely true that in DJJ facilities, especially residential facilities, very few students are being placed currently in those. But and so there may not be as big of an impact about transitioning in and out or into those programs right now as there is transitioning out of those programs right now. But certainly within our group home environments, within our private child care agencies, we do still have a lot of students who are being placed into foster home situations, into group homes during this. And so we're also looking at those folks and how we can best serve them at this time. Jerry Taylor talking about how great everything is going in her program. Super proud of the students. We are too. I know it's a lot of work, and students and faculty and staff are really rising to the occasion during this time. I think that's one of the wonderful benefits that we're learning through this process is how resilient not just our students are, but also how resilient other folks are in addressing some of the concerns that are going on. So we're really proud of them as well. Any other comments about anything you're doing around fatigue? Or I'm not hearing anybody really feeling very fatigued yet. So maybe that's a good thing for you guys. All right. I'm going to open the floor. If there's other things that you guys want to talk about, if there's issues that I didn't bring up or struggles or things that you need assistance with, this is your opportunity. We have about 30 folks on the call from all over the state who are in programs similar to yours, who are experiencing similar things to you. So this is a great opportunity for you all to talk with them as well, and to get any feedback that you might need to help you continue to do great work that you're doing. I'll give you a second to think about that. And then also some of the comments for fatigue. It's important to keep going outside, to look at, I mean, it really is, Jerry, I think you're absolutely right. It's a beautiful spring. I don't remember a spring this beautiful that we've had in a very long time. We skipped winter completely, it seems like. So we've moved right on into spring, and I'm very happy about that. As you all know, I have a first grader at home with me. And so this has been a challenge personally. And I know many of you have kids at home too. I never expected to be working full time all day, and then also being a teacher at home, doing homeschool, and also trying to enjoy the time that we have together as a family. So it really has been a challenge, but that opportunity to get outside and to do that has been really great. Anthony noted that they're on spring break right now, which is great. I'll let you guys know that I live in Frankfort and my daughter attends Frankfort Independent. And so it's a small district inside the city, and they have a very interesting schedule. They start school on August 1st and they go till June 5th. And so they have a 3-week intersession that is their fall break in the fall, and they have a 3-week intersession in the spring. And so that's already part of their regular schedule. And so for the last 3 weeks, this is our final, we've been on spring break almost this whole time. And we start back with instruction on Monday. We had one of those weeks that we've been out of school has been instructional time, and then the rest has been spring break time or intersession time. So we're anxious to get to Monday and see how all that's going to be. And I know many of you are also juggling a lot of different things as well. So good luck to all of you. I think we're all going to need it as we kind of figure out how we're doing all of this. Any other concerns or questions that you all have for other folks who are on the call or us? Well, again, I want to thank everybody for all of your hard work, for everything that you all are doing for our students. I know this is a difficult time for everybody, but I just couldn't be more proud of the work that you all are doing. And just to be affiliated with so many great people who are out in the field doing such an amazing job. It really is quite humbling for us to just be able to offer some support to you all who are doing really all of the hard work. So thank you all very much for everything you're doing and for everything else that's going on, and just for always being a great support to our students who really need people who care about them. And I'm really fortunate and glad that we have so many people across the state who really care about our students and who are doing the right thing by them. So thank you all for all of that. We'll be back on here next Thursday. We hope that you guys will join us and take advantage of these opportunities to have conversations with other folks. And if you have questions that you want us to talk about during this time, please send us an email. If you don't want to bring it up on the call, we'd love to have you do that. But we thank all of you for your work and hope you have a great day, and happy Good Friday and happy Easter if you celebrate that. We hope you have a great weekend, and we will see you all back here soon. Thanks, everybody.